Hello everybody, this is Rob Gauthier from Treb Channeling.
And this is Kalina Angell, also from Treb Channeling.
We wanted to come on to wish you a happy solstice, a happy Christmas, and a happy New Year, and happy holidays in general. Mm-hmm. We wanted to tell you what we are going to do today. We're going to invite the Nihal in just for a little bit so that they can tell you what this part of the year means to them, from the solstice to Christmas all the way to New Year, as once they were just as human as we were. Mm-hmm. What is your feel since you've talked to the Nihal, since you've met them, since you've interacted with them?
Well, I found it very refreshing because, as you know, they were and are us, and they are the type 1 version of us. So if you're looking to see what you might deem the best, most wonderful, beautiful part of humanity, the Nihal are definitely it. They are incredible, and as much as we love Treb and Aridif, and they do understand us to an extent, there's nothing like a fellow human, especially one that has mastered love and wisdom and is a type 1 and have been in our tracks, have felt what we felt, have the emotions and everything. So it's been really an incredible experience getting to talk to the Nihal, and I know that they are just as excited as we are over the solstice and the holidays because they've been there, they know about it.
And what amazes me is that they've already shared a little bit about their past. They said that 170 years from now, that basically we'll be able to take that quantum physics world and bring it to reality. So I believe what that means is by then we should be able to figure out how the universe works, how exchanging consciousness, how exchanging physical bodies, transporting ourselves, doing all those things at the quantum level, subatomic particles are doing right now that we're already aware of. So I think that this is going to be an interesting journey with the Nihal, to say the least.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Yeah, absolutely. The emotional setting too, and me and Kalina shared this before about what had happened the night that the Nihal had come through. We talked about it. I did a whole video on it, so I'm not going to get too much into it, but when they came through originally through the physical bodies, after me and Kalina had been doing a lot of chakra work and meditation, and it was such an intense energy, and Kalina knew instantly that it wasn't Treb or Aridif that was coming through. It was a very conscious, intense experience. So much so it shut down my talking, and I remember texting something on the phone and showing it to Kalina, and I shared what that was written. It was back in October, I think, and it was very amazing. And what we've learned from that is that the intensity of the level of a collective consciousness versus the smaller entities, and they're not small by any means. Treb and Aridif are pretty huge energies, but just being a collective is so much bigger, and they have so much more to share with us. So I'm very excited about sharing this channeling this evening with all of you guys, and we just wanted to tell you guys we love you very much, and have a great holiday.
Yes, we love you.
We love you.
And as Aridif would say, you are loved.
Love you guys. Alright, so the very first thing I'm going to explain is that this connection process to the Nihal is much different. In fact, this is the first time I'm going to try to connect with them without connecting through Aridif or Treb, but they were explaining to me how to do it, and it's basically making a energy circuit with my hand, something similar to that, where the two fingers here, this one and the other one's kind of hang. I don't know if that one touching is going to be a problem, but something similar to that, where they're not touching exactly, but they're lined up, and holding that down on my lap, so it's actually more of an upside down thing there. When it goes, and breathing in 9 times, and that is the ticket right there. So that's what we're going to do right now, and I'm going to connect to the Nihal, and I'll give you guys the message. Enjoy and have fun, and we'll see you on the other side. Salutations, dear friends. We suppose we are brought forward to talk about the energies of the holiday season. The average person on this planet is celebrating the solstice without ever knowing. The average person is celebrating this wonderful day of energy without being present-minded about it. Although they celebrate it 4 days later, the energy is still similar. We understand the perception that many of you have of the intensity of the energy of this day. It is most intense. The energy that divides that line is much less. But weeks up to this day and weeks after are both very intense as well. 4 days after this event, it still holds very similar energy. Each year, the energy is slightly different, although the solstice itself falls on a different day. Although the energy itself feels similar, it's slightly different. All of you are aware of the differences in energy when it comes to the years that have been coming. You went through the early 2000s into 2012. Now you're leaving 2012, 13, and 14 behind you. As essential as these years have been for all of your growth, the truth is you've always been growing. There's been such a celebration about these years, but in truth, every year is a celebration. Just because the energy affects you in a way that sometimes you're very aware of and sometimes you're not so aware of doesn't mean that in the year before or after, 2012 was less relevant. This year, this 2014, spanning into the new year of 2015, all of these energies will hold a very similar energy. It will hold very similar meanings to the way that you feel, the way that you shift, and the way that you perceive your energies. We know that throughout your entirety of your life, you've seen changes every year. And this is a basic principle of life as an earth entity, or as an earth being, as an earthling. Growth is essential for all years. You develop as a child at such magical times, growing, finding your heart, finding your imaginations. And then as older children, some of the magic is lost. When you become a teenager, it's a new finding of energy, hormones, ideals. Personality traits begin to bend. You begin to try to find who you are. This journey never ends, but it feels more intense during these years. Continuation into the young 20s. Your knowledge begins to increase, the confidence becomes huge. Once you're in your mid-30s, you think that you've got a lot of things figured out, and you feel better about your situation each year after. The more that you feel around you, the more that you experience, the more that you integrate, the wiser you become. When you get into the early 40s and 50s, sometimes before, for the average human, there's a worry of your mortality. And then you integrate into older ages, 50s and 60s and 70s. You see your physical body begin to decline, but your mind begins to grow. And then you reach a point where you feel as if your mind is declining. We understand the relevance of this process in the time period that you're at now. We understand how the energy affects you, but we just want to assure you that no matter what year it is, whether it is December 21st, whether it is the middle of July, whether it's mid-April, the energies around you are only relevant to how you receive them, to how you integrate them, to how you use them. What does this time of the year mean for us? You have the solstice followed by Christmas. Christmas being celebrated by many people, different holidays in this time of year that represent the same thing. One specific religion celebrating their version of the solstice. All of these energies being played out, all of these energies being explored in celebration. What did it mean to us as a race? When we entered the fifth density, it meant something much different than it did when we entered the fourth. That part of the year was celebrated very largely, just as it is now, just as it was in that fourth density beginning period. But what we understood about it was that the growth that we looked forward to on that day every day was within us all of the time. There was no need or desire to look at one day and say that this day would be something that would be larger for us. We celebrated this day, but we celebrated every day, just as we did the 21st. Our celebrations were large, our celebrations were exciting, our celebrations were full of happiness and joy, but we treated each day as we did the 21st. By midstream fourth density, the 21st was just as important as it was to us in the beginning, but we were feeling the energies more strongly. Each day, each year, each celebration brought us further to our understanding. And what is it that we understand? What is it that we were finding out about ourselves? It was that in the creation of our existence, we were able to find and seek out most diligently the parts of our thoughts, the parts of our heart that were resistant to expansion, the parts of our energy that felt as if we were not able to grow until we surpassed. We found all of these things. We worked on them. The first time that we introduced ourselves to Kalina and Rob more formally, we explained that we had had a very rough time, that it felt as if we were having our asses kicked everywhere that we went. And it was difficult. Very difficult. But through that difficulty we found answers. We found a joy that was very intense. Through the intensity, we learned to integrate that into our daily ritual. So in the fifth density, we were much different, much more willing to celebrate each and every day as if it was the holiday of most importance. Christmas, New Year's, all of these things so exciting. In the beginning of our fourth density journey, we found great excitement. Each year that passed in the New Year's, whether we were celebrating natural time New Year's, lunar, which will be the change eventually, or whether we were starting on some random calendar day of January 1st, we decided to change into a more natural timing, the Lunar New Year, which is not the same Lunar New Year as it is now. But we start at that point, and we begin to celebrate every year with excitement. But in the beginning of our fifth density journey, there was no need to celebrate that either. Our linear time had finally vanished. It was behind us. We were able to reach into any moment that we desired because we learned the power of our thoughts, because we've learned the importance of centering and balancing our heart by using every moment as if it was this moment, because that is what we got to experience. There's little to say that can express the amount of joy that we felt as an entirety. Towards the end of the fourth density, we finally got to experience all of the hearts of the Earth Collective being connected into one rhythmic beat. To give this joy an explanation, I don't think that the English language can do justice to this. The feeling of intensity is beyond the spoken word. At this point, we were developing our telekinesis quite nicely. We were developing our ability to communicate telepathically quite nicely. Telepathy became a very strong energy in our collective. It became one of the greatest things that we could share with one another is all of ourselves. You've heard about beings that come to connect to humans in channeled state, or two humans whose hearts are linked very strongly, and how they're able to experience and feel all things within themselves. At the end of this fourth density, we were able to experience this with our entire collective. We were able to share one conscious memory, one conscious thought with as many people that were willing to connect to it. I don't want you to be mistaken by thinking our existence was perfect at that point. It took us well into the end of our fifth density to really come around that last corner, to really understand our unity with everyone and everything. There were still type 2 energies, as Treb calls it. And what an interesting thought coming from this perspective today. But the type 2 energies were around 4, part of the second, or part of your third, part of the fourth, and part of your fifth density. We got to experience until then. We became type 1, fully integrated. Even our connection to Treb's race was during a time where we were a very benevolent type 2. And Treb doesn't explain that often because he only can see our energy as a type 1. Because he feels the energy now. He feels the energy right before we left our physical existence. In his heart and mind, the essence is that of a type 1. Now we come from a perspective where type 1 and type 2 have no meaning. And how wonderful is that, to peel back the layers of segregation. I know that when Treb uses this, he's only explaining this so that you can understand what polarity or point of view that these entities come from. He truly sees no difference in a type 1 or type 2. He only sees energy. He sees oneness. This varying degree of perceptions is what is hurting so many of you right now. The time period where you're at, separation is painful. For some of you who are visiting, for some of you who have come to join the party of growth of the human collective, who left your comfortable lives in higher densities, It's quite opposite for you. The pain for those who originate from this planet was from a perspective of desiring more connection. Your pain came from missing your connection. Those of you from Earth cannot miss something that you don't remember experiencing. You have all experienced that, no matter where you're from, but to remember that feeling. And it wasn't such a long distance from where you're at now when that was available to all of you. Your understanding of history says that Atlantis, Lemurians, there were energies where you could accept and feel your oneness. That wasn't a far cry from where you are now. I'm telling all of you the information that I'm sharing here with you today for a few reasons. One, when I talk about our history, when I talk about our fourth density, fifth density, I want to let you understand that this is your fourth and fifth density if you desire to go on this path. There are pathways of less resistance, but I assure you there are many more with much more resistance. We're happy to help you in any way we can, but our last bit of information, our last piece of advice for this evening is this. Feel the energy. The energy is a part of you that already exists. You're just trying to refine it. Use this time of year to encompass yourself around those you love. Those who make you feel love to a much higher and stronger energy, or a degree of happiness and excitement. The entities that surround you, that you feel love from, are extensions of the good inside of yourself. If there's a person who is with you who you feel is so much greater than you are, so much better than you are, you strive to be like them every day. You excite yourself to be around them because they are such a great person, and you only desire that one day you can reach this greatness. Well, we're going to tell you that you could have never had them in your life had you not had the greatness in you in the first place. They are only reflecting something back to you that you already have. We want you to use this time of year to do as you desire, to feel your heart, to feel the heart of those around you and see what it is about them that shows you your true self. Have fun. It seems that in this time period there's not quite enough of that to go around, but we promise you, if you tap into that joy and excitement, love and acceptance of others, you will find all of that you can handle plus some. We are the Nihal, and we are you. Have a good Christmas, New Year's, and a good solstice. We've still got a few minutes of solstice left, so we're going to get off here, and me and Queen are going to celebrate it together. We love you guys.
Love you guys.
Love you, bye.